Hey, hi guys. So in today's video, we'll be checking out Angular's popular feature, differ block, and we'll cover the topics like what it is and what it will do, and how it is useful in Angular, and how it can be used with an example, and the documentation part where to refer it, and also its advantages. How it can be used, and we can compare with ngif how it can be useful or not, and at last we will cover the example. So first we will see what it is like. So if you go through the documentation, I open Angular version 17 because they introduced a differ block only in 17 as a uh, developer preview. So here you see like this is the definition goes with, and they say a type of block that can be used to differ load the JavaScript for components, directives, and pipes used inside a component or template. So what they say is like, so if you want to load the um, components or directives um, dynamically inside a component, then in that case we can use differ. So it's the same kind of thing we used it in like differ script. So if you go to the differ script tag, so the same thing like uh, s- the script tag will be downloaded in parallel to parsing the page and executed after the page has finished parsing. So after parsing, this gets executed. Uh, it doesn't execute any of the functionalities before finishing downloading it. So that's the exact meaning of it. So, but in this case, so differ is nothing but to differ loading the components or directives. So this is a typical example which they give, or the syntax we can see it in version 17. Say at differ, and then what condition to be used on, and then we can write the uh, fallbacks, loading, placeholder, error blocks, everything we can do with that. See that it doesn't meet the condition inside the differ block, then we are going to execute all these conditions. And they explain about what type of blocks we can use it. We can use it with at differ, at placeholder, at loading, at error, that you saw it in this syntax as an example. And what are the types of triggers which we can write the conditions, we can they had pointed out. And here they say like on idle. So this is the default state where in which the differ state will be executing. And on viewport is nothing but when the viewport is visible, then this gets triggered or the component gets loaded, or the chunk of data uh, will be loaded. That we will check it soon with an example. And say like on interaction, say like I am clicking in on hover or like on focusing it. So there these type of interactions when we did it into the page, in that time also this angular differ block will be executable. And as I said, like hover, focused, this is like separate blocks they have put it. And immediate when the page finishes rendering, so on immediate and on idle. So this is like a crucial part where in which we need to handle it mm, separately. Or like I didn't know, I didn't experimented like how it will work like. But on idle is the default state. If we didn't write it, it will take it as an idle state. But if you wrote immediate after the page finishes rendering it, right, like then it gets executed. I mean all the components when it gets rendered, I think this will get executed on immediate. On timer is nothing but to delay the time, right? And then after some time we need to execute the component. At that time we can use on timer block. When condition is nothing but like a customized conditions, we can use it like to say like we can combine in any of the conditions above. say like on viewport, on hover, on everything we can combine it, and we can write a getter block, and then we can use it to do that. Prefetch nothing but to prefetch the chunk, which I will show it in the example, and then we can write a trigger block also to when to trigger it. Like, so these are some of the things which I see it in Angular 17 as a documentation part. But if I go to Angular 18, so there they made the changes, noting for, we can see it with say, okay. So here is the documentation part. Oh, okay, where I went. Okay, this is the one, right? Hmm, okay. So here you see like um, hmm, okay. So the same thing they had mentioned it, and I think it is similar to Angular 17, but I saw somewhere, I think deferred. Okay, I think this one. I think yeah, deferred loading with defer. So in-depth guides templates. I think we can see it in the same in-depth guides. I think, but I don't know. Let's check it out. Um, deferred loading, deferrable views. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think more or less it is same actually, deferrable views. They had expanded in depth actually what it is and how it can be used. Like, so both these documentations you can refer it, and then you can check it out. So they have given a detailed example of how to use that, how to use various blocks, and how to um, go with the testing. Even testing perspective, they gave some idea on like how to use it, and yeah, that's pretty much about the documentations. You can refer like in-depth guides, templates. There you can go to the, as it is like a recent version of Angular is Angular 18. You can go with this documentation in the URL, and then you can check this article. Yeah. So we covered it, what it is, can it, where it can be used. Documentation part we covered it. So what are the advantages? So the advantages mainly I will say like, if I go over here, this is the main advantage I see. So this often results in faster initial load and improvement in core web vitals. And and this, and also if we say in the first line, uh, it reduces the initial bundle size of the application by deferred loading. The loading of code that is not strictly necessary for initial rendering of the page. So what it does says is like, when we bundle the application, right? It doesn't, it's like it doesn't load the entire application logic until unless that condition is met with that differ. So this is also same as like lazy loading, which we do it in the route using load children. Using load children, we use it to load a dynamic module when route changes. The same way, this is applicable to a component specific, and also it loads a chunk of data uh, when the condition is met inside the differ block. Okay, so we will straight dive into an example. So before going to that, I'll close this documentation, and then I will um, create a component, say differ example. I usually run with the dry run to check that whether it is correct or not. Let's check it out. So it says, okay, I don't need this spec file. So let's remove that. I think it's no specs. Let's see it out. Okay, no test, I guess. Okay, so let me check it out. So I have used it in some other application. Let me check it out. Okay, so here it goes. So it is skip test, not no test. It is skip test is equal to true. So if we execute this, it will create only the HTML file, TS file, CSS file. So before what we were executing and we were trying to create is we were creating spec file also. So this particular argument will avoid creating the spec file as well. Okay then. Yeah. So here we are good to go. So it will create under src app deferred example the component. Let me remove the dry run. Okay. So here we created it deferred example and yeah, let me copy this. I think it should run it in. Let's put it over here. Okay. Or so this issue comes when it doesn't know the custom element scheme. So how we can resolve this? Okay, here we can go. I think custom elements. This will close it, and if we go, go here. Think router outload. We need to import it. I guess I don't know. I haven't worked on the standalone components. Let's see it. App component. Okay, maybe I think we need to import it into this. So differ block. What is the component name? So differ example component. So this I think maybe we can import it. Let's see. There you go. So I had imported into this app component and then we had resolved this error. Okay, so we will clear it off this. We'll comment it out all these examples which we had previously used it. Mm, I'll comment this section. I'll comment this section. Yeah, now we are good to go. Okay, so we'll open only the specific files which we needed. and we'll close all other files. Yeah. Okay, JSON. Okay, we'll keep it at last. Okay, so here it is. So suppose we are using this differ block, and or we can go here. I think we can't use it directly here. So what I will do, I will use it in app HTML file only, and I will use it here. Yeah. So at differ, clicking and right. Yeah. So here it came, and if we cut it and paste it over here, it doesn't render anything. So what we are going to write here is, so I think that will be the on idle block, I guess. So that is a default one. So I'm going to use that. Does it render? No. Why it doesn't render? Let's debug it. Oh, what happened? Let's see whether any error is there. No error. Let's restart it. Okay. It doesn't load anything. A differ app differ example. App differ example is nothing but what it has. It has, here I am. Okay, I removed the uh, content in it in the default example. Okay, here it loaded. Yeah. So as you see, this is a default example, default one, default behavior of differ block, and it uses on idle, and it loads. I think if we remove this, let's see what it happens. Okay, this too actually it runs and it takes as on idle only. So without giving on idle or with giving on idle, it is same. Okay, this is the first example. I'll comment it out, and here we go with the second example. Say on viewport. This is a second example. If I'm going to use it. Okay, on viewport trigger with no parameter can only be placed on an differ that as a placeholder block. Okay, I need to define a placeholder. Okay, placeholder. So for now, I'm not going to uh, load any component inside the placeholder. I'm just going to create a div and then write some content, just a placeholder. Okay, so as you see, uh, we can't see the difference, right? Like what it is happening here. So what I will do, let me push this block entirely down. Maybe I can wrap it in a div and I can target it. Oh. Okay, so I will give you a class name, say differ block, and this CSS I will target it over here, and to give say like I'll give a position, and I will give top 600 px. I think the content is pushed to the bottom, say suppose 1600, I'll create it. So there we see the scroll bar here. Okay, so now what happens is, if you see in the elements and then inspect it over here. Okay, okay, this is loaded here. Okay, maybe the position relative it doesn't take. Okay, what we can give is we can create a number of divs here. Hello, we'll put it. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, here you see. So I don't think the position is actually useful here. So I no need to use this. Let me remove this, or I'll comment it. Yeah, and here you go. As you see, when I inspect it, right, the page, and if you go to the app component page, so here I have like a n number of divs with some content, say hello, and I have a default block. Say like I want to load this component only when the viewport is visible. Say like the user is seeing on the viewport or something, and there must be also a play fallback or something where in which we are going to display some placeholder text. And if you go to the browser console, right, as you see, this is the app component, and here is a list of hello messages with some content, and here you see only the placeholder is rendered. Okay, now what if I scroll down? If I scroll down, and before that I'll go to the network tab, nothing is just fetched here, and I will go to the elements tab again. I'll go and keep it here, network tab. Okay, yeah. So when you scroll down and see here, it actually loads the component immediately when the viewport is visible. Then the content changes from just a placeholder to the actual component is being rendered. And if you see the network, this much fetch the actual component. Okay, here you see. This is a chunk it got loaded actually now. So yeah, so this is the content which it comes from the app component. Say the app component. Okay, I can show it in the network tab again. I will reload the page. Okay, okay, I'll scroll up and then I'll reload the page, and we can verify it. Yeah, just a placeholder is seen, and go to the network tab. There is no chunk in it, and when we scroll to that view particular port and see there is no chunk also it is loaded. Say like there is no deferred example component gets getting loaded, and once you scroll on to that viewport, yeah, here is this chunk, it gets loaded. And here we see app defer example, this is a component got loaded. That's the way of using the deferred on viewport block. Okay, and I think we can go with on hover or something. I will comment out this example. I will show you another example. Say I'll copy the same thing and sorry. Okay. On hover, we can see. Hover trigger with no parameter can only be placed on an differ that as a placeholder. Okay, here also it needs a placeholder. So we'll copy this and we will paste it here. Okay, we'll format it. Okay. So here it is. Again, we see the placeholder only, and there is no network request for that particular differ example. And if we go to the elements tab as well, we see only the placeholder. Now, suppose if I'm going to hover over on it, yeah, there I see the app differ component gets rendered. And when I go to the network tab, here I see the chunk got loaded. I mean, the deferred app example got, component got loaded. App differ example got loaded. So this is the third example. And you can also combine it with prefetching. So before going to prefetching, I will show you another one example. Say with a timer, I will copy it, I will comment it out, I will paste it here, and I will use timer. So timer, let's say, I think, okay, when we hover on it, timer trigger must have exactly one parameter. Error occurs in the template of the component app template. Okay, I think it requires some one parameter. I think that may be in milliseconds, I guess. So yeah, that's in milliseconds. Maybe we can put it as like say 1 millisecond, or we'll say 2 millisecond. I mean 2 second. That is. So if I save it, yeah, after I saved it, right, like after 2 seconds, here I'm seeing the text change from just a placeholder to here I am. I think this too requires a at placeholder uh, block, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think so. This doesn't require a at placeholder fallback, but it requires just a um, a differ block with that on timer, and this is the syntax of it. Say like I am going to refresh it. See, first time it doesn't have any text in it, and after the timer gets executed with almost like a 2 seconds, we see the text over here. Okay, I will copy it and I will comment this and I will go show you the next example. Let's format the text. The next condition will be prefetching. So prefetching can be used. Let me show you with an example here. Say prefetch on prefetch. Okay, so what did I say? On recognize trigger type on prefetch. Okay, I think there must be a condition. Say I will declare a variable over here and say okay, prefetch boolean is equal to false. So we will copy this. We'll say prefetch flag. We'll use it here. Prefetch maybe uh, when, I think that's the syntax when. mm, or we will say On viewport, we can combine it as I said, like on viewport prefetch on. Okay, a type of block that can be used to defer the load. Okay, trigger type. Trigger type is prefetch, but it doesn't recognize. I don't know why. No parameters can only okay. Okay, so it does require a placeholder. Let's keep this placeholder here. So now we need to see what this prefetch flag error is. Unrecognized trigger type prefetch flag. This we have used it here. I don't know why it is recognizing. Doesn't recognize. Mm, okay. Yeah, this is one of the example, but what I want to show it is different. But prefetch on idle is nothing but the browser. This is a default differ one. So it is just it is prefetch, and then I mean the chunk of data, and on viewport it will actually rendering it. So to show you this example, maybe I can copy from the first all the divs, paste it into this example here. Yeah, and then I will show you here. So what it does means, so here too, you see here, see the viewport is like just we are seeing the hello, and when you inspect it in the elements tab, right? Like here you see only the just a placeholder is just visible. And what this condition means is we are just going to show the fallback or the placeholder here, and only on viewport we are going to prefetch. That is what it meant. Yeah, you can ask like this is same as like I am removing it at the same. Yeah, that's correct. That perfectly it's correct on viewport, and this it is same. Um, so to complicate this example, I can show it up, but let me scroll down. Yeah, here you see the app defer component gets loaded. So what I meant to explain is different. Mm, 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 mm. I want to explain with an example, say when. Mm, so that's what I'm looking in. One second. Okay. Prefetch on timer. Okay, we can give it timer, I think. Timer 200 milliseconds. Let's see. Okay. Here too, I'll give two 2 seconds. And if you inspect the elements tab, I'll scroll up. I'll refresh the page. So the first condition is the viewport. It is not visible. Yes, it is not visible in the browser. Uh, and when we scroll down, the viewport will be condition will be met, and then we are prefetching it. Prefetching is nothing but from the network tab. If you go, you will see the chunk getting loaded for that particular component after 2 seconds. So I scroll down. Sorry, I should be in all. It got loaded. Okay, sorry. I load this page. Okay, okay. So here you see the chunk got loaded and it prefetched. Okay, maybe I'll give you another one example. So only on viewport I need to see that. Let's try it with another flag, say boolean is visible. Hmm, I don't know this will work or not. Hmm, this doesn't recognize it. Okay, yeah. So I'll come back to this after some time. But yeah, so this is the example which we can use it. These are the multiple ways actually we can use it with the differ block. If any queries or if any doubts, please ping in the comments. Maybe I can give you a feedback to a feedback, or I can create a stack blitz link to resolve the issue. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you.